2023. The time is 10:01 a.m. I'm calling this meeting to order. In attendance are Commissioners Brooks, Matari, and Duncan. Are there changes to the agenda? Okay, hearing none. Our first item is Justice Center update with Bouten Construction. And Craig, I was hoping that you would walk us a little bit through soft costs. And I gave you that sheet right there because I think that it would probably be helpful to understand a little bit about how soft costs come about and like that. So my understanding is that soft costs, such as fees charged by engineering firm and as well as those billed by the architect, are considered in that category, and the necessary permits, taxes fall in there.
I'm sorry, what are you looking at?
An email that I have?
Okay. I meant,
Oh, this right here? No, so I gave Craig this. So this is the one that was sent to us yesterday at 12:51 to all the commissioners and
the $38.3 million spreadsheet.
yes. Yep.
Okay.
And then Bouten also had emailed this to us, I think Friday.
Yeah, so yes, we sent this to Jody and then she forwarded it on to the board on Friday.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And I did bring copies of ours. I didn't know if you guys would like copies of those.
And because we have these folders now, we normally put all of our documents in. So I looked there and I didn't see any of that stuff.
Okay, so I'm not in charge of the folder. I don't know who puts the stuff there.
Okay.
I just know it came in my email, and so
Okay.
I printed it from my email. So when starting a project and talking about soft costs, is it possible to be 100% accurate or have a, walk me through a little bit about how things and numbers can change in the soft cost category with fees and permits and stuff like that?
Okay. So is everybody looking at this?
If they've brought it, sure, yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. I think, do you, okay,
Could we have some copies?
yeah.
And I thought I had a couple copies too. But. So at the start of a project, the soft costs are, as you can imagine, they're not entirely clear. So a lot of times they even start as a percentage just of construction costs. So a lot of times what we've seen is if it's a building, we look at historical data and say it's going to be $750 a square foot to build the building. And then the owner may start as crudely, and Corey, you could talk about this too, is putting what, 10 to 20% on that construction cost for a soft cost budget.
Thank you.
That kind of 10 to 15 kind of range. And so it's just a percentage of construction costs to cover the design, permitting, all the fees that are associated with the city costs, the tap fees and sewer connections, all those kind of fees. Just kind of start as a rough percentage just to get a kind of a budget started. And then as we go through and start more narrowing down what the project looks like, what the requirements are on the city, what the furniture needs are, audio, video, security, all those things, once those start to get more clear, then you can start getting line items to them. And you know, even right now in the project, the security, closed captioning, television, and access control, that's still just, that's a pretty loose budget because we're just not exactly clear on all the needs inside the building. That's something we're trying to get more clear definition on. Corey and LCA is trying to get that with IT, but that's still just a rough, I think that's on here. So does everybody have?
I think it's on the FF&E portion
So
is where
if we
that
just walk
is.
through this,
Uh-huh.
so the first box, construction costs, That's really just a rolled up version of our construction estimate, which we brought copies of, that totals to the 34,367,202. And which is, yeah, that's the exact same number that our estimate matches. And so we've just broke that down into the buckets of site work through the GC overhead fee contingency bond allowances. Then the second bucket, that's really the soft costs. Number one is design. So that's the cost from LCA to do phase one services and phase two. Corey, do you know what the difference was, what those services were?
I do not.
Okay.
Yeah, the stuff that's in yellow is coming before us today, and that has to be with the reimbursables. And then the changes are the 52.5. And so that's coming before us this afternoon.
Okay. And then you'll see on there Bouten construction, pre-construction services. When we proposed on the project, there were a list of items that were required for pre-construction services, which we've been providing. And we have a contract for that $178,378 that was executed in 2022. And then line item number 2, so that's fees, permits, and miscellaneous. So All West is to get the geotechnical survey done on site, on old site, new site, looks like that says. And that work was completed in March of 21 and then updated in June of 22. Then Warmer and Welch Comer, those are sub-consultants that provide design for the fire protection and then for the survey control. So that's for on-site to give us the correct control points to do our survey. And then, let's see, and then just working down through city review fees, Avista costs, just all the costs that have come up. And in the last 3 months, a lot of these costs have become more apparent from where this was a big just percentage to now we can really start line item these costs. And RMO has really been at the charge of getting these costs nailed down and determined.
So things like the relocation of conduit, Zipley fiber relocation, I mean, those aren't things that you can actually understand going into the project, right? I mean, those are the kinds of things that come up once you start breaking ground and getting into that?
As you do your due diligence, those start to become apparent. And that came in because up until March, it was really a high level, here's a pretty picture, here's what we'd like to do. And then from March until now is when we've really dove into the details. The construction documents, the design team that has progressed significantly on getting the finer detail of what does the exterior when the walls look like, what is our structural system, like all those details have become apparent. And then going out into the street, understanding the utilities, all of that work, that really happened this summer as we got those drawings ready to go out to bid.
So I do understand that our sewer capitalization fee went from $83,000 when the estimate was received from the city to $170,000. And are those things that happen sometimes? Is you're quoted one fee and then it turns out to be another one, Corey?
Yeah, that original fee came when we met with the city about 1.5 years ago to do a project review.
Mm-hmm.
They gave us estimated fees on sewer cap, water cap, building permits at that time, and the building was a little smaller at that time. But since that time, the sewer department has more than doubled their sewer cap fees. So that's why that one jumped so much, and that was a big shock to everybody and unknown. What I have found is that too, is the water department also raised their fees, but we made some changes to the meter size, and we got rid of an irrigation meter, so we're able to keep that one within budget or under budget. So working with the departments, we're trying to work some of those things out. I had a conversation with the sewer department, I went through a whole bunch of different scenarios with them, trying to get the sewer cap fee lowered down using different ways to look at the building. And that didn't get anywhere. Everything we looked at was actually more expensive. But they've raised those rates not just on your project, that's across the board. All projects, sewer cap fees have gone up that high on everything.
Okay. Then the other thing I want to point out is the estimated impact fee. I am on KCEMSS, and for other government entities, we always forgive that fee to other government entities. But I met with the city administrator on Friday, and that fee is not going to change. So they're not going to work with the county on that, so. But, any questions?
Yes, I
Okay.
do. I very much appreciate the fact that Commissioner Duncan wants to go through this exercise to show how it's very difficult to know what the numbers are in the beginning. And I think that it's fair to say that for every project you engage in, it begins with an estimate. And then as time goes by, you start to understand what the actual costs are going to be. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. And do you normally present soft costs to your clients?
It just depends on the scope of services we've been hired to do.
Okay. I mean, today you're talking about soft costs, so I'm just trying to understand why you're talking about soft costs today.
I was
So I
asked
asked
the
the
question.
question.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, because clearly soft costs are a very normal part of the cost of a budget, right? And when we met in March, you never talked about costs, soft costs.
correct.
Never mentioned. Commissioner Duncan never asked, even though soft costs were known. And I believe Mr. Trapp over here knew about soft costs because he was involved with the initial proposal for the building when it came in at 22 million, because the original cost for the construction was 18.5, and then we had the 3.5 million in soft costs, correct?
Yeah, yes, and I talked to, I think Ken's online too, but I talked to Ken at Lombard Conrad this morning, and when they prepared their cost estimates, and they did a couple of them in March, and they updated in October of '22, and those cost estimates from the architect did include soft costs,
That's right.
and they were on there as a line item,
Yeah. So,
as estimated.
yeah. So, I mean, I really appreciate having a conversation about soft costs today. I don't understand why we didn't have one in March.
Well, I was focused on the construction, so I do understand that you not being here ahead of time, that would have been a good conversation, but everything was already signed. So to me, that was phase one.
Yeah.
Now we're in phase two, and
Yeah,
so
and
I
that's
get it.
where, when you see the board makes decisions on total dollars, not parsed dollars. And that's the problem. And, as much as I appreciate going through this exercise of as time is going by, we're getting more precise numbers, which is how these projects always work. I walk into this meeting and I've got an email from Friday that largely says, FYI, here's a spreadsheet. This is your subject matter. It's got your name next to it, Commissioner Duncan. And so all of these things I was supposed to have and bring to this meeting, but they're scattered all over the place. And this has to do with the communication.
This document right here that we've been going off of this morning was emailed to everyone on Monday.
Yes, it was.
So I'm not sure how it's my responsibility to make sure that something that's emailed to you gets someplace else.
Please find attached a revised Justice Edition project summary worksheet. Please let me know if you have any questions regarding same.
Okay, and I
Doesn't
sent that
say-
email?
That was from the director of RMO.
Okay,
That's the spreadsheet, and that was yesterday, and it said nothing about for tomorrow.
correct,
to be
because
using it for
last
this
night,
meeting,
so let me
any of those
preface.
things.
Last night, it became clear when you kept saying, this project keeps going up, we can't trust the numbers, keeps going up, up, up. but it doesn't. It's the soft costs that are coming in and being solidified. So that's kind of my point today, to look
okay.
at this kind of stuff, to say these numbers aren't solid until you get closer to 100% design.
But aren't the soft costs part of the project?
Yes.
So they are going up. That's what I'm saying. The construction is actually going down. Bouten is the one that's doing a fantastic job. You know, and I think we discovered that last night with the $900,000 in savings off the initial estimate. But when I say the project is adjusting like this, yes, it has to do with these soft costs.
But the percentage that was assigned to soft cost has not changed.
And when was that percentage assigned?
I don't know.
You don't know when the percentage of soft costs were assigned to this project?
Jody, are you on the line?
This is Jody Beasy. It was the 26th of January 2021 when it was established, and that amount of approximately $2.5 million, and I can get it in front of me, is representative of what you see in front of you as well. So that the adjustments have been the increases that were already mentioned regarding the sewer cap fee and some other fees that were unknown at the time.
Yeah. And Jody, by the way, thank you so much for sending out these emails multiple times in a week since I've brought this issue up 2 weeks ago. Thank you. Because now I feel like I have a much better handle on what the total cost numbers are and as they adjust day by day. So thank you.
Well, I just want to also point out the reason why you got the most recent one is because when Craig provided his on Friday and that was sent to the board, I wanted to make sure that the number on the construction tied to his document, and that showed that it was accurate representation of the most recent information. And I will not send as many emails out if you think that that's too much. But the point was to make sure that everybody had the same information at the same time.
Well, I never said it was too much.
Oh, no, I was just indicating that the multiple emails is to show the constant reflection of the construction to make sure that when that goes down, then the email that you have that shows the comprehensive cost also goes down. And that's really what was represented.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
So I do want to state that, I mean, even Northern Lakes Fire Department right now just got hit with a $100,000 cost increase that they were not expecting, because once they got into the project, then they were notified by the county that they needed something different. So these things just happen, and yeah, it's predicted as close as possible, but it can't be 100% unless you start with 100% design. Then I think that's where it comes. So anyway.
And there's no dispute over that. I think the real issue is just the fact that, you know, as a board, our job is to make decisions on bottom line numbers and not make bottom line decisions with top line numbers. And so that's really what the issue is. And that's why I'm trying to understand why Bouten is discussing soft costs today, because they've never discussed soft costs at any point prior to today.
Correct, because
And
that's
so-
not really their field, their scope. So after last night, I wanted some clarification, so that's why I asked Bouten to speak to that, and he didn't even know he was going to speak to that this morning. So I wanted those things clarified. So
Okay. All right.
anyway, all right, I think we're ready for you, Craig.
Okay, so, good on the soft costs at this point?
Yeah, I don't think there's any more questions.
Okay. So like Jody mentioned, she emailed out our updated estimate on Friday. Does anybody need a copy of this? Everybody else has one? Take one. Let's see.
Yeah, I'll take one, please. Thank you.
Great. So what you'll see on page 1 and 2 is our detailed estimate breakdown. And like site work, if we just start on line item 1 just to get you oriented to this. So earthwork and utilities is the description. Our DD estimate on June 26th was 105,000, and then the cost per square foot, a total cost of 696,000, and a variance of in this case, is up $590,000. Now, this isn't the best one to look at because items 2 and 3, those we're rolling up into that one as we put that together to be a bid package by one of our bidding trade partners. So back in June, we had itemized items to account for all the scope. Then we rolled that together to bid it out to the earthwork and utilities trade partner. And then on the right side, that right column that says work package. So we have 3 work packages. Work package number 1 is our earthwork and utilities. Work package number 2 is the structural elements of the building, which is today the piece that's in front of you for approval to be signed, so we can proceed with that work. And then work package number 3 will be the more the finishes, exterior cladding, the skin, landscaping, those kind of finish items. So
Sorry,
any questions so far?
Can you just point out again where this work package 2 is on here?
So on that far right column, you'll see it says
okay.
WP1.
Yep.
So if you go down to building structure section, you'll start to see WP2. So anything that has that WP2 is going to be in work package 2. And this has a lot more detail. When we get to page 4, it's rolled up into more condensed information. Is that making sense so far?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, the site work section, the majority of that was in work package 1, which is under contract. And then the bottom 4 items, so number 8 through 11, those will come out in work package 3 on that first page. Then we get into the building structure, which is all work package 2 except for line item 17, which is rough carpentry, which will come out in a later work package. The building envelope section, this is predominantly work package 3. And this is where we had that value engineering of looking at the exterior elements and going from metal panels that were originally designed to doing a mix of metal panels and EFIS, which is similar to what's on the existing building, and being able to find some savings of that ended up being total about $1.2 million, which was a great, I think we've landed on a really nice looking building, has good durability, and is also a good use of taxpayers' money. And sorry to ask questions, but feel free to interrupt me. And do you want me to keep going through this kind of detail, or what's the best use? I just want to make sure I'm using your time best in this meeting.
Well, I've never built a building before, so I'm just looking at these line items and just listening to what you're saying. So,
Okay.
you know, I can't tell if this is good or bad or anything like that as far as these line items, but I understand that these are these work packages and we're going to get our numbers. And as we progress through this project, the numbers will become much more concrete from your estimates earlier. Yes,
That's correct. So like work package 1, that is now under contract, and unless there's a change in design, unforeseen conditions with unsuitable soils, like that number is locked in.
Yeah.
So, and that's where we are now with the document that's ready to be executed today with the concrete, masonry, structural steel, all the structure elements of this building.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe if we just flip to page 4. Again, these are a roll-up of the detail that we were just talking through. So we call them by system, so the site work system, building structure, envelope, through allowances, and then general conditions, overhead fees, and contingencies that we've included, and then our bond costs. I know that was a question last night, if we're bonded, and we are bonded on this project. And so we provided a contingency breakdown. We thought this would be good to see And if, from left to right, there's the description of the contingency, what we carried in June, what we're currently carrying, and then just a variance. So currently in this number, for work package 3, we're carrying $180,000 for just inflation and escalation costs to get us from now till December when those bid. Design and estimating contingency of $925,000. And then a construction contingency, which by contract, we have to carry 3% into construction. So that's really not for use during estimating and design. So really we have the $925,000 and $180,000 to get us through the bids. And that can seem like a lot of money, but the biggest and most risky portion of this project from a bid and being on budget perspective is mechanical and electrical. There's a lot of commodities, and as commodities move up and down, that can really sway this pricing. So that's protection for bid day. We're working very close with both the design team and local trade partners. When we got this current package from the design team, we immediately had a meeting with each trade partner that was pricing the scope. Did that with the electrical engineer and our electrical trade partner. We brought them together, walked through the entire scope, and then they had all that information. So they had, it's like in a lot of the questions, okay, what's not designed yet? What constructability questions could we go try to answer for you? And then take that, and then we went and priced it. And a nice thing that we also had, like electrical, which is one of the more risky scopes, it's an electrician that's doing a very similar project in Nez Perce County with the same electrical engineer. So that's just helpful in making sure we're getting the right information. So I don't want to be selling this at all. And at the same time, I just want you to know we've really tried to turn over every stone to be confident with these numbers. Now, there's been many times in the last 5 years where we've done that, and then bid day, it's still a disaster. And I don't predict that. I'm not saying that'll happen, but we just have to be, I guess I'm cautiously optimistic that we'll be okay. But it's risky as well. So those are the contingencies we're carrying. You'll see on the cover sheet on the project budget summary, Jody put a note in red, or RMO, I guess I should say, said construction variance of $466,000 can be allocated to county contingency, FF&E, or deducted from the total cost of the project. So that savings that we're seeing or accounting for on the construction side of the budget, it's the question of what do you do with that $466,000. It's like, if it's me, I'm holding every dollar we can until we get through bid day, which is going to be in December. But that's a decision for somebody other than me to make, but I'm just letting you know, giving you as much information as I can. So then that's third box down that says work package cost breakdown. Work package number 2, in June, we thought it would be 5.5 million. It came in at 5.1 million, so had a little bit of savings, which was great. Work package number 2, in June, we were predicting it to be 18 million, and what we're here today to sign the contract for is the 8.4 million. The difference, when we set out in March and June, we felt the design team, they felt they could get us mechanical and electrical for work package 2. And as they got into it, they realized that just was not realistic. So we had to move the mechanical and electrical scopes to work package 3. And this was a strategy Bouten was really pushing, because the electrical switchgear, the HVAC equipment is the longest lead time and is the critical path on this project. So we were really trying to pull that forward so we could get it released. Unfortunately, just with the way design is working, the design team could not give us that information until work package 3. So that's why that has changed, and why now you'll see the estimated work package 3 cost In June, we thought it would be 10.5 million of the project, but now it's 20.8. And then there's some options for the fourth floor. So I'll pause there. Any questions?
Questions?
No. Thank you.
I actually do, well, I mean, for the board, actually. So that, what do you guys think about that $466,000? Do you want to keep that in contingency for construction till we get through the third bid package, or what would you like to do with that?
You know, at this point, I'm not even really sure enough about what that means. So I'm very reliant upon you to make a recommendation on what we should be doing. You're the project lead. You've been dealing with this on a very regular basis. You know, the way I see it right now is that we're holding on for the ride. Whatever ends up happening is going to happen. I mean, unless there's a difference here, unless I'm missing something. And so all I can do is just rely upon sound judgment from those who are managing this process.
I say that we keep it in the project for right now, and then now, are we opening bids in December or opening them in January?
December 19th is the plan, Work Pack 3 bid due date.
Okay,
And then
Yeah.
Bouten would need a little bit of time after that to assemble
Correct.
everything before we present the comprehensive
Right.
Work Package 3 estimate.
yeah. But that was that one time that we had that one email that showed all the different components of that Work Pack 2, I think it was, wasn't it? So we'll have another, when we do bid opening, we'll have another layout of opening those bids for the individual
Okay.
pieces. So, yeah, so I recommend keeping it in right now, and then when we get those numbers back, I guess late December, probably give you guys, 2 weeks or something to go through all the bids?
Yeah, it's just after the new year, I think, is the planned delivery date for our estimate to you with that
Okay.
comprehensive package, just to account for the holiday season.
Sure, okay. All right. I guess the other thing, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about the fourth floor options, where you landed on that. So they gave us two different options. If they don't build offices on the fourth floor, that could save $935,000, but I'm not sure if design would change on that. So that would just be from the construction side, and then eliminate the fourth floor could be a high of 3.8 million, but that definitely would not include all the design and stuff that it would have to happen to lower the project by that amount.
Yeah, no, I would just rely upon your judgment on that. You know, the purpose of getting those numbers was to at least make sure that we examine all the options. I don't really feel like we've examined all the options in a lot of situations. So, but at this point, you know, I'm going to rely upon your judgment. You know, that we have the money, that it makes sense to build this fourth floor, and you know, at this point, like I said, I just think we're on for the ride. We're holding on, and you know, my hope is that Bouten will continue to do the fine work that they're doing to come in under their estimates. And as far as these soft costs go, you know, I don't know who's managing them. I don't know how much they know about how to manage them. I just hope that, you know, whoever is knows what they're doing. That's all I can hope for at this point.
Okay. Bill, thoughts?
Yeah, excuse me. I agree, and I think as far as the fourth floor,
I'm sorry, Bill, your mic.
I think that's a very easy way to try to cut costs that really isn't a good idea at this point. I mean, it's kind of quick and dirty, cut costs, take off fourth floor off. And why do we have a fourth floor on to begin with? We did because we need it.
Yeah.
So I think managing the costs are more important. And I would like to see maybe on a weekly basis an email or something that shows how we're doing, if that's okay.
Yep.
Okay, I mean, that way there's nobody.
Is this format okay for you?
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
Okay.
I just so that, at different points, all of a sudden we're not, oh my God, that's another $1 million. Where'd that come from? It usually doesn't come that fast,
Okay.
And if nothing else, for me, give me a chance to get used to it and ask some questions.
Okay. Corey?
Just to add a couple things, we're working as hard as we can with Bouten to try and control costs. I made phone calls to Modern Glass this morning to talk to them about glazing options and ways to save money. John and I talked this morning that if we change the countertops at the judges' benches to plastic laminate, there's what, $65,000 of savings there. Our goal as a team is to try and not use any of the contingency if we can. And when we get the numbers back in January and have that meeting, we should know that first contingency package, the 900, if we're into that, or how much we're into that, or if we're not into it at all. So we'll know at that time if there's a good savings at that point for sure. And then just on top of that, I've gotten just what's happening in the market right now. I just bid a project on Friday that I felt was going to be anywhere between $850,000 and $1 million on a remodel, a medical remodel, and it came in at $700,000. I had 25 people at my pre-bid walkthrough on that. Normally I have 5 or 6. So, and I've had 3 contractors call me in the last week wanting to know what we have coming out for bid, because they said there's nothing out in the market being bid right now. So I think people are going to be, just personal opinion, I think people are going to be a little more hungry and looking for things to bid. So hopefully that'll be in our favor.
Okay. Thank you. Public comment? Oh, I'm sorry, Craig, did you?
Just to add what Corey's saying, we're aggressively advertising this project right now, getting coming soons out to the trade partners, letting them know so it's on their bid schedule. And I agree. I was just like the caveat, it's like you never know what's going to happen on bid day, but yes, I think that we're hitting the market at a great time. Like I said last night, I think the board, I know it's a bit, you're on for a ride, but that bottom line, I think we're getting that's holding. And we've made some great moves, getting the site work done this year, getting ourselves ready to start footings right now. With the weather that we've had this fall, it's just phenomenal from a construction standpoint. And the last thing I just would like to add is the Kootenai County residents that we're putting to work with this project it's awesome. Like our Bouten staff is predominantly Kootenai County. Peck and Peck, our earthwork trade partner, is a long-standing Kootenai County company, and all of his employees, or most of them, are here. So the impact that we're having on the construction community, the opportunity to do this project is just awesome, and we're appreciative of it, and our trade partners are as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Bela?
Commissioners, Bela Kovacs for the record, assessor. I was unable to attend the meeting last night. I do recall, I did watch the video, and I recall Leslie Duck at the beginning of the meeting asking for comment by the elected officials, and so I'm here to give you my comments today in regards to what I heard last night and this morning. I want to preface what I'm about to say by saying that nothing I'm going to say here is in any way intended to disparage the name of Bouten Construction or any contractor. But I am also going to say that I come to you with 20 years experience as a purchasing director to manage. I've managed projects like this. What I've heard today and what I've heard last night about soft cost, I find appalling and somewhat disingenuous, because When you talk about and you identify fiber optic cabling or electronic access control, things like that, those are not soft costs in my experience. Those are costs directly related to the construction project. What I see here in the methodology that was used by Kootenai County, this construction manager at-risk process, although allowed in statute, it is fraught with risks, its own risks and problems. In my experience, I have seen public entities go down this path in utilizing this methodology because it is quick, it is fast, and it lets you get to the project. But there are risks associated with it. A public entity has a duty and responsibility, and my comments are coming to you because this is going to impact all the departments of the county for the budget shortfall or the deficit here. It's a very serious impact. But the public entity has a duty to identify all costs. And the traditional procurement method used for projects like this is the design, bid, build. It is a slower process, but you scope out your work. You identify all your costs. You don't allow anything like electronic access or fiber optics or anything to become a surprise in the middle of the project or whatever else may come up. So I commend Commissioner Matari for his efforts in looking into this. I think the process that the county used is inappropriate, although it's authorized in statute. And I think the commissioners need to take a hard look at this. We do need a justice system center. The building needs to be built, but the methodology that's used, I think it's fraught with problems. And that's the end of my comment.
Thank you. May I address some of your?
Certainly, and
Okay.
I, if I can respond as well.
Sure. So the cabling and all that, that's in the FF&E. So that's the furniture, fixture, equipment line. So that's where that cost is. It's already been predicted. And then the design bid build, what you get is low bidders and you get a ton of change orders. So what we're doing, that's my experience,
Yeah, that's-
Bela. So you've had different experiences,
It
that's
depends on
totally
how
fine.
well you scope out and spec the project.
Well,
Really.
we chose this because the construction manager got with the design team and has really saved a lot of money by cutting things out that don't need to be there.
In the design bid build process, you can involve contractors with early involvement. What you do at the very beginning of the project is you put together a schedule of values and a chart, a project timeline chart. You put that together at the very beginning of the project. You involve them in the project. But I'm sorry, I've got 20 years' experience in managing contracts like this, and I haven't seen anything like this.
Okay. Thank you. Any other public comment? Anybody on the phone or online, Jonathan? Okay. 10:44, meeting adjourned. Thank you.